I think people would want to travel more by public transport if there were more options. I think it's pretty hard right now. Like if you're in the city, it's great. If you're out of the city, it's pretty shit. It sucks.
And it should be something that's easy to do. It should be the easy option. It should be the option that people are taking for all those reasons, like for their health and well-being and for their mental health even, and for the health of the planet.
I would ask council to have better cycleways that are safer, more efficient transport. I think the whole transport system needs to change.
The actions that we can take to prevent climate change actually have positive co-benefits for health. Active transport, public transport, gets people active, helps reduce the burden of heart attack, stroke, and diabetes that we might encounter.
If a city is to be a city of the future that we can be proud of, that can keep us at 1.5 degrees, it needs to change. The way we move around it needs to change.
Actually, I was born in Tuvalu, but I grew up in Nauru because my dad was working for the phosphate mining in Nauru, and then my parents reckoned that it's best for me to go to Fiji for further studies and up to uni, and then we decided to migrate to Aotearoa, New Zealand, so that's how we came. Yeah, we came in 1989.
Climate change affects so many aspects of our lives, and it affects all of our jobs, it affects all of our lives, it affects all of our families, it affects all of our communities. That means we really do have to work together to address this issue. We have to work together to change our cities, our countries, in order to adapt and to avoid climate change.
I have a passion for wine, and in fact, one of the reasons I'm so concerned about climate change, my lovely, lovely wine is also being affected.
Yeah, so climate change will affect me and my whānau because we have Luna here now, and I don't want her to suffer from climate anxiety that a lot of the teenagers these days are facing. Yeah, I want a future where she doesn't have to worry about that, and where she can concentrate on her education and being a kid and not about the state of the world.
I have been sort of told off for talking about it too much because it really upsets them, and they're, they're quite right to be upset, and and they shouldn't have to, as kids, they shouldn't have to deal with that. But yeah, it is, and so you try not to let it affect you, but I think it does.
And then about 10 years ago, I became a father, and I have 2 children now. And I walked around and I thought, by 2030, by 2050, by 2080, what life will they have if we move beyond 1.5 degrees to a place where it's difficult to have agriculture, where it's difficult to sustain civilization?
We don't really know what it's going to look like in the future. I think people are procrastinating with this problem. It feels like a group project at uni where everyone just kind of chimes in at the last minute. You end up with this kind of mess right at the end.
And I care about my people back home because we are flat. Our island is quite flat. We're only about, 3 meters? Maybe the highest is about 3.5 meters above sea level. And when the tide keeps on rising, where are my people going to go? We don't have mountains. They can only climb a coconut tree, and how long can you stay up there in a coconut tree? The kind of thing. And so I'm talking about the survival of my people, and I care about my people. But and so, climate change is no joke.
One of the things that we're going to see with climate change is a rise of climate refugees, especially from the neighboring Pacific Islands, as rising sea levels mean that their islands disappear. We're going to see a lot of refugees to New Zealand coming with all the problems that refugees tend to come with. The anxiety, the depression of loss of land.
But it's not just about the Tuvaluans. I'm also here thinking of our other brothers and sisters from the islands, low-lying islands like Kiribati, the Marshall Islands, Tokelau, Samoa. I know a lot of our Pacifica people, we didn't commit all these, carbon emissions back home. If you look at Tuvalu, 11,000 population of people, human beings. So it's not fair that our people have to, they got their lives will be changed completely, or even they'll be drowning just because of other people's fault,
I'm a bus driver, transporting passengers all over Auckland. sadly, I have to drive to work because I start at 5 in the morning. There's no other transport available to me.
I do enjoy riding a bike. I'd like to be more confident, but I can't be more confident if the cycleways don't help me become more confident.
And I'd love to get back into cycling to work. So it would be awesome if our streets were just a bit more cycle friendly.
If public transport is free, because like A2, we look after our cleaners, security guards and aged care sector. Public transport is free. These workers don't have to pay a lot of money for jump on the bus.
Give free fares to all passengers, whereby they will get out of the cars and get onto buses. More frequency, as well as more connections to places where there is no proper connection.
It would be awesome as well if like public transport could meet like just a little bit higher in my needs.
And now I'm wearing my hat as a Pacifica woman here. Like, how real are those EVs? Who can afford those EVs, Because if we talk about lowest paid workers, the industry that we represent, they can't afford those bloody EVs, And not only that, you look at the EV, they're so tiny. And you look at my Pacifica people, only 2 people will fit in the car, and then that's it, So let's start, thinking beyond that.
If we want a better public transport system, we can approach our local representatives and actually ask them to implement these changes for us.
It's your job to go, knock on their door, tell them what you feel, coalesce, make groups in your community, resident groups, business groups, student groups, whatever you can find, climate groups. Go and knock on their doors. Let them hear you.